There are many stories that echo through the corridors of time, but none echo as much as the story of creation. Which brings us to the life of a young man in this present day. His entire family has abandoned him to the streets, left him homeless and without hope. Of the family members who can, not one of them will even give him one night to sleep on a comfortable bed or even give him a meal. It's pretty horrible. And then the ones who do help a little bit do so reluctantly, because after all, he's not their responsibility. One night, as he walked slowly through the park that was only a short distance away from his childhood home, he finally found a bench to sit on. As he sat down, completely exhausted from walking some unknown distance through the city where he grew up, he just looked up into the night sky, not knowing what was going to happen next. He hadn't noticed it was winter or the snow that fell ever so softly around him. He didn't have a jacket or gloves or a hat, and the sneakers he wore were very old and tattered, and the one pair of socks he wore weren't enough to keep his feet warm. It's not like he could feel it anyway. There was no one around at that time of the night, and there was at least 1.5 feet of snow on the ground. The snowflakes that fell continuously were quite large, but oddly enough, it wasn't windy or cold, and he was thankful for that. The snow was starting to pile up on his body as he sat on the lonely park bench. Silently, he was thinking and watching a car go by every now and again. His only thought was, how in the world did I get here? Wow. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes and could hear the snow falling on the ground like in small little poofs. He opened his eyes, not remembering the last time he ate or slept. He just looked up into the gray, snowy sky as the large snowflakes fell softly on his face. And then he said to God, even though I am here like this, I will never leave you or give up on you. I love you. He smiled slightly, then he closed his eyes again. In that moment, eternity opened up to him, and he was whisked away. He immediately felt his whole body sway to the right, as if he was on a ship on the waves of the ocean. And then he swayed to the left. Then he felt the exhilarating sensation of plunging downwards, like when you're on a roller coaster. The young man felt as if he was flying now through a large tunnel, and he could feel a light wind passing over his face and body. His eyes remained closed, and all he could see were his memories of when he was a child, playing in his grandmother's backyard. He could feel everything that was happening. He could feel everything that happened that day. Then he saw a birthday party and the whole family just celebrating him. I think he was like 1 or 2. He could feel that happiness that he felt as a child that day. As he was propelled through this awesome tunnel, one memory after another passed through his mind and through his soul. And he could hear voices through this tunnel. Look at him. Then he heard other voices saying, this will be a turning point in his life. Yes, but he must endure. They were echoey, like very far away, and they sounded old to him, like ancient. It was all very interesting to him. He kept his eyes closed because he didn't know what he was going to see if he opened them. Okay? He felt as though he was flying, and then everything went silent. In the silence, he could hear his heart beating, and he felt like he was floating. And then he heard a voice whisper in his ear, "You can open your eyes now. It's okay." As he opened his eyes, it was like he was watching the sun rising with brilliant colors. And there stood before him the loving Creator, the source of all things, things that we see and the things we don't see. The loving Creator was so resplendent and smiling. The young man was looking around, but all he could see was the sky and the beautiful clouds all around. And there was a rainbow that seemed to be a part of the sky. The loving Creator said in a soft voice, "Are you okay?" And just smiled at the young man. "Yes, I'm okay, I think." The Creator just laughed. The next thing he knew, they were both standing on a magnificent mountain peak. But it was like made of a platform of blue sapphires, and they were sparkling in the light. The Creator said, "Here, come with me. I want to show you something." They walked towards the edge of the mountain peak, and the young man could only look down and all around him in absolute wonder. The Creator just chuckled. That's how everyone reacts. There were elemental light beings everywhere. Whales were singing. The young man was awestruck. As they got to the edge of the platform, the Creator stretched out a hand, and the young man looked out into the eternal kingdom. There was an ocean that looked like it was made of light, but it wasn't blue. It was many colors that softly pulsed on and off. They swam slowly, as whales do, and their song was soft, but the vibration could be felt powerfully throughout his whole body. It was invigorating. The Creator smiled and looked at the young man with great love and compassion. The Creator said, "I know that you have been through a lot, and it seems like the challenges will never end, but I promise you, they will pass. Here, look, you see there? Look past the whales and the rainbow bridge that leads to many dimensions. You see that over there? Do you see the mountain with the waterfall?" And the young man said, "Wow, yes, I see it. It's quite far from here, though." The Creator took him by the hand, and when the young man blinked, they were right next to the waterfall. It was magnificent. The young man looked up, and he couldn't see where the water was coming from because it was so high, and it was covered with mist. The mountain looked like sparkling gold. But as the young man looked closer, he could see right through it. He could see right through the mountain, as if it was made of the clearest diamonds. He looked back, and he could see all the whales swimming slowly. And he saw the pods. There were pods of dolphins too. And then to the left, he could see the blue sapphire platform where they just were. And it sparkled like a beautiful gem on a ring. There were all different types of flying beings. Birds of all kinds going through these circular gates. and then they would disappear with a burst of light. There were valleys down below with people walking about. It was a world of wonder. The Creator waited patiently with a smile. The young man turned and just shook his head in wonder and said, "Why do I feel like I've been here before? All of this seems very familiar to me." And the Creator said, "Here, come with me." When they went through the waterfall, it felt like gentle electricity and vibrations pouring all over his body. When they walked through to the other side, he could see that he wasn't even wet. When he looked around. It was just, he didn't even know how to react. It was a gigantic library. What looked like millions and millions of books of all sizes and colors. There were many hundreds of light beings and elemental beings tending to the library, moving about, making sure that all the books were in their right place. Many were looking for books to bring to the large reading table that was just ahead of them. They passed a large doorway with giant pillars on each side. When he looked up, he couldn't see the end of the pillars or even the ceiling, because there was no ceiling. It was open, and all you could see were a myriad of galaxies of many different vivid colors, each one swirling at its own speed. The Creator pointed a finger, and a lightning bolt shot into one of the galaxies, and it exploded with millions of stars. The Creator just simply said, "That one is ready. Here, come with me to the table. I have a nice drink for you and a really comfortable chair. You're gonna like it." As they reached the table, the young man saw that there were many beautiful light beings speaking to the Creator, asking questions and taking direction. And they all came and went very quickly, as if they were teleporting to and from many different locations. The young man couldn't hear clearly, but he heard a couple of words here and there. He heard Sirius Constellation and the Orion Group. Then all he heard were muffled voices after that. He was really trying to listen, but they were being very careful because he was there. But then he heard something interesting. He heard the dragons and the lichens are going to look after him, and they're going to guide him. The Creator nodded with pleasure and said, "Very good. They have my blessing to move forward with him and protect him until his time comes to bring change." The Creator was done speaking with them and turned his attention back to the young man and said, "Here, my boy, sit and drink." And then he smiled. "It'll make you feel much better, I promise." The young man looked at the beautiful ornate cup, and it was made of sapphires and gold. Very beautiful. And the drink inside of it was clear like water, but it was effervescent. When he drank it, he could feel the tingling of the bubbles, and it tasted like passion fruit with a hint of orange. Wow, that's good. He could feel the powerful energy of the drink coursing through his whole being, and it seemed to give him renewed strength. He felt awake and strong. The Creator just laughed with joy. I'm glad you like it. Here, please, have a seat. And the young man sat in the most comfortable chair he had ever felt. It felt like the chair was hugging him and rocking him to sleep, but he wasn't sleepy at all. The Creator continued, everyone on earth has heard and told the tale of creation in so many different ways. Throughout all the many epochs, kingdoms have been built and then razed to the ground over and over and over again. But the tale of creation endures. The young man nodded, acknowledging this truth. But there is something I find curious. The tale of the creation of a soul hasn't been acknowledged much throughout time. Almost not at all. People believe that they come from their Creator and are born by the millions and millions, and many give thanks for their lives, and many do not, and they go on their way speaking about the creation or cursing it. They say how I created everything that can be seen and everything that can't be seen, and you know the rest. The young man was waiting with great anticipation at what the Creator was going to say next. My boy, I have chosen you to tell all who will listen how I create a soul and send it on its way to the earth with a grand mission to help, to serve, and to lead, and to bring change, but also to bring love and light and wisdom to mankind, but also to teach them tough love, because this is necessary, but it must be mixed with compassion and gentleness. They need all of these things. And the young man said, wow, I'm honored that I would even be considered for such a task. The Creator smiled and asked, so is that a yes? And the young man smiled back and nodded, yes, I would love to do this for you. So with a loud clap of his hands, the Creator said, very good, it's settled. Here, have another drink, and we will begin this great adventure with open hearts and open minds. The Creator sat back and stared at the swirling galaxies that were above for about a minute or so, and the young man thought, I can't believe I'm here and about to talk about all these things. And the Creator just smiled and looked at him because he knew what he was thinking. And he said, I understand, but I want to share this with you because I know that you will share this treasure with honesty and love. So the loving Creator began with the creation of a soul. The young man was drinking the liquid light, and it was so good that the tingling of the bubbles just made him chuckle. And the Creator smiled with admiration. And then he said, a human being is a mind-body-spirit complex. To human beings, and many others that I have given life to, see this as a paradox. The mind-body-spirit complex works very well, but without a soul, that complex is empty. The soul is the part of me that gives immortality, creativity, and the curiosity to want to know more. The soul looks like one of those galaxies that you see up here, the one that's hovering right over us. And the Creator points to a beautiful orange and pink galaxy that swirls slowly and rumbles with a low hum. Like that one right there. It is vast and brimming with life and love. Then transitions, then bursts with life again. You see, immortal. The soul is infinite and powerful. And what makes all the other parts work together in perfect balance. With a smile, the Creator says, I can feel your curiosity. So, how do I create a soul? A few of the light beings stopped what they were doing high up on the shelves, because no matter how many times they have heard it, it still inspires them, and they can feel the majesty of it. They can feel the absolute love that comes from the Creator's heart. So the Creator continues. I reach into my own heart, and when I pull my hand out, there's a beautiful golden pearl of light, and it's right in the center of my hand, glowing and waiting. As I look at it, it spins gently. It is so precious to me. Then I think about what I want to be. Where do I want to go? And the pearl of light then begins to grow larger and brighter. Then it starts to take shape. When it's done, it looks like the human form I thought about, but still needs more refining. The colors are beautiful and swirling like a mist. Now, are you listening, young man? Now, I bring it closer to me and place my hands on its shoulders and gently breathe my life into this new soul. One of the light beings that was tending to one of the books of life for a young woman put their hand on their chest and breathed deeply at hearing this beautiful life-giving event. The Creator continued, I close my eyes and then listen. Ah, there it is. That beautiful heartbeat. Now the colors swirling in this new soul are even more vivid than before. And there are electrical veins firing all the way up to the head and then back down through the heart, down through the arms, and all the way out to the fingertips, and then back to the heart and down the legs and into the feet, all the way to the tips of the toes. I tell you, I never get tired of watching that happen. Now, the soul starts to touch its chest curiously, as if looking for something. Then it starts to touch its face, and its eyes open for the first time, beautiful as a sunrise. The new soul just smiles and says, thank you. Thank you for giving me life. And it runs into my arms and we embrace. Oh, I love that. The whale's song becomes louder with joy and happiness, and there is a huge burst of energy that I impart to my new beloved soul. It is filled with more love and strength for the journey ahead. Now, I look into the soul's eyes that look as beautiful as the morning sun, and I say, I have given you a great mission to fulfill on earth, and it's all written in this book with your name on it. I then motion to the table where we are sitting now, and I say, please take your time when reading and stop when you see the gold bookmark, because that part of your life you will learn about when you have reached a certain age on earth. Okay, so make sure you stop there. The Creator looks slightly somber and a little sad. You know, sometimes I think about all the humans that have lived throughout time, millennia, time forgotten. And to think how they have sold their souls just to become famous, or inherit riches, or they sell their soul to obtain some forbidden knowledge, or even worse, they just give it away for a little bit of knowledge or pleasure. Do you remember Samson? Yes. Oh, he really disappointed me. But it was only for a moment. And it was because of his feelings for Delilah. Oh, what a soft heart he had for her. It hurt me deeply that he suffered and paid such a heavy price. But my love for him was greater than his lapse of judgment. And I granted him his last request because I could feel his love and regret that he had disappointed me so. And with that, he finally became the judge that I created him to be for that time period. How sad it makes me because so many humans don't know or care to know where they truly come from or how powerful they really are with goodness and with love. If they want fame or riches, okay, that's fine. If it's done with balance and love. All they have to do is look in their own hearts and they would see the truth. And they will have the answers that they need because it's all right inside. That is where the soul resides, where I reside. The Creator watched the young man's face as he finally understood. It became so real to him, and the Creator smiled with joy. The Creator continued, well, after the precious soul is done reading, it's ready to meet its guardian, who will be its guide and protector for the journey ahead, starting at the gate of the 12th dimension and on down through each dimension until it reaches Earth, which has just transitioned into the 4th dimension. At each dimension, there will be a stargate and a gatekeeper, where the soul will learn great lessons from the gatekeeper and then given safe passage into the next dimension. And once in that dimension, the soul will learn even more valuable lessons. This is all necessary to equip this soul with everything it needs to live on Earth, which has become somewhat hostile because of the beings that have chosen to take the more negative path. The young man asked, the question of the ages. Why do you allow all this negativity and chaos? The Creator leaned forward and said, to understand why I allow this, you must understand the origin of balance. There must always be balance. The dance between light and shadow is eternal. They cannot live without each other. They are intertwined, eternally married. One learns from the other. They actually are very much in love with each other. I know that sounds strange to you, but these are deep truths that most will never accept. Unconditional love and light and understanding mixed with great wisdom, that chaos and darkness and friction mixed with love and light and empathy, just to name a few, are needed to create perfect harmony. This is what all of creation needs to remember and understand. They are perfect when they work as one. They protect each other, you see. But there are times that the light and shadow become tangled and muddled like vivid colors that are swirled in a pool of water. One wants to dominate the other, you see. When this happens, chaos overwhelms the pool by default because there's no balance. For humans, this is very hard to understand. And in a lot of cases, they refuse to understand because they have been taught and are controlled to the extent that they believe you must be one or the other. Okay? So for many millennia, many different beings that I have created have chosen one path or the other because this is what they have been taught by those who will call themselves their leaders. And with the passing of many, many spans of time, those many different and diverse beings come to believe that they are from the light and are taught that they must shun and push away the shadow to be perfect. And on the other side, many believe that they are from the shadow and darkness only and shun and push away the light. And in doing so, they have created this unbalanced universe. Yes, a great and unbalanced universe. Over and over and over, they have forgotten themselves and where they came from and who created them. They have all forgotten about the eternal dance of balance. It is intricate and beautiful, but sadly, it has been turned into something that it's not. There can never be only light. There can never be only shadow and darkness. There must be balance of both. There are so many beliefs on earth right now that most don't know what to believe. They believe this is good and this is bad. But it is so much more complicated than that. So to answer your question, why do I allow chaos and negativity? Because the great dance of light and shadow that I speak of is in the very soul of every person or being that I have created. And it is up to each and every one of them to look inside of themselves and see the eternal pool that is their very heart and do their best to calm those waters from swirling so violently. Once there is calm, then they can see clearly and begin to unmuddle the colors, which are all the beliefs and teachings that they have been taught throughout time, and create balance in their lives. Do you understand? The young man just nodded in agreement. I really do understand now. Thank you. Wow, I never looked at it that way. And then took another sip of his refreshing liquid light. Ooh, so good. He could feel the bubbles. It just made him smile. And the Creator smiled back. He appreciated that the young man was enjoying himself, but also listening and really grasping everything that he was saying. The Creator sat back and was pleased. Then the Creator leaned forward again and said, "Now, let me tell you how the journey of the soul begins." Well, my brothers and sisters, this is where I leave you for now. Thank you for joining me. But stay tuned for the next leg of our journey, where the soul and its guardian begin their descent through the dimensions, growing and learning great lessons that will carry it through its life on earth. So, until we fly again, be blessed and have a great day.